Yeah, man, it is October the 2nd, 2022. So the year's flying by. In this video, I want to talk about mind control and how data is important with all of this stuff. And so I got a comment, and somebody was saying some of the typical stuff like, oh, what makes you think you're so important? This is all about data and it is a lot about data. There's a lot of things going on with data, and they call it data mining. Um, Data collection is kind of what it is. And if, but they went on to talk about how, it's not people, but it is people. It is people doing gang stalking. When it comes to gang stalking, it is always people that are doing gang stalking and connecting to you on your neurological frequency that makes up your profile on neural monitoring, whether that be a website or a program that they're running. But it's all linked into the internet, and you're connected with people and unconsensually if you're being gang stalked. Obviously, if you have your neural monitoring and access to that like they do, then you can control who you connect to, if anyone, and it would be consensual, and you would be able to make those kind of choices. But as far as data is a big deal. Data is a big business. A lot of companies are strictly about data and database management or data management, data collection. They sell data is very valuable. They sell data. Some companies sell data to other companies, and they can use the data to make money in many different ways. Now, one of the big things that I want to talk about. So it's very typical, and you've noticed this before, that if you go on to your browser and you start typing in things about something, say, for example, the circus. All right, try it. Try it today. Go on your browser and do 2 or 3 searches having to do with the circus. All right, and what you're going to find is that the next time you go on to Facebook and you're scrolling through, then you're going to run into ads on your feed, and those ads are going to be about the circus. And even though you were on Google when you were doing your searches, but they're all connected, interlinked to each other, and they're doing business behind the scenes. And so they're buying that data from each other and using it for certain purposes, in this case, advertising. And so one thing that I noticed, though, that's significant, it's a big deal, things that I think about, things that I never typed, things that I haven't talked to nobody about, never said it out loud, just a silent, personal, private thought in my own mind. And then the next thing you know, there it is, advertisements related to that on my feed. And that tells me something. It tells me that this neural monitoring system and the data that's coming from my mind into this neural, this from my neurological broadcast frequency into this worldwide web of data and things going on, it's being used by big companies like Facebook, Google, or I'll say Meta, because when it comes to Facebook is owned by Meta, and so is Instagram, and I get the same thing on both of those. If I'm scrolling through Instagram, I can run across an advertisement of something that I've only thought about privately. And these companies are using data to target you with certain type of ads. And if you think about something, then in this system, it's calling that something of interest to you, and they're using that data to target. So try that too. Think about something weird, something that no way it could happen otherwise, right? Something that you haven't typed, and something that you haven't talked about with anybody. You haven't written it anywhere, and you haven't talked about it at all. And just think about something and make it something weird, so it'll be very obvious when it comes across your feed as some sort of related advertisement to something weird that you thought about. Only think about it, and you'll see that what's going on is it's not just your searches on Google or your shopping cart on these websites that you're shopping at or any of that. It's not just that. It's definitely that, but it's also a lot more. It's the things that you're thinking about privately. And you'll start to notice those things and do a little test, and think about something weird and see if it comes up on the next time you're scrolling through your feeds on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter or whatever, and Google stuff, because all of those huge companies, Apple too, they're all involved with this whole thing, and data is very important. The thing is that that's like underground mine pirate type of stuff where they're using your private thoughts from inside your mind as data to target you with certain advertisements. And if they're doing that, then there's unlimited potential to what they're possibly doing with whatever you're thinking about. It just makes me wonder, like, why is there missing children? Or why is there an unsolved murder? Or, why is anybody getting away with anything that's physically happening? The United States had known about all kinds of terrorism and all kinds of stuff. Or maybe when somebody gets their neural monitoring, they are able to block that out, like even governments and stuff like that. But I don't know. I would think that there's a more advanced master control panel that, the FBI or whatever could get in. And think about it. With broadcast and neural monitoring broadcast and mind control and all of this EMF hologram broadcast and all this different stuff and artificial telepathy, the FBI could follow you around from a stationary position. They could be sitting at one location on mind control and literally following you around as a broadcast. And just like these gang stalkers, if the gang stalkers can do it, then of course, the governments can do it. They've probably been able to do it, probably before the internet was big or public. They started to have the internet for military purposes way before they started to have internet publicly. And commonly, people started to get on the internet in the early to mid 90s, and it got very popular more like, 2005, 6, 7, and especially like 2008, 9, and 10 when smartphones became readily available to every man, woman, and child. And that's when everybody really started blowing up on, with social media and being on the internet all the time. Prior to that, I used to sell on eBay, back in like the early 2000s, and I used to go on forums and different sites, and I used to be on the internet, but it was from a laptop. And then I remember when I first got a phone, and it was like a small square at the top of the screen and then a keyboard under it. And it was a Samsung phone, and I called it the Minternet. Oh, actually, I had a Nokia before that. It was the Minternet. A buddy of mine called it the Minternet, and because it was like a miniature version, a very basic version of the actual internet, and it was on your phone, and that was like the coolest thing. And then from there, it was not very long before it was like touch screen and full internet starting to be available on mobile devices, and that's when it really blew up. Prior to that, you didn't have, not so many people on the internet, but it's just become a big thing. And now everything is revolved around the internet. I mean, your car thinks it knows something. I've been driving this, I won't say what kind, but I've been driving this car lately. It's a brand new car. It's a rental car, but it thinks it knows something, and it's like trying to correct me if I get close to the white line and like give me an assist. And I don't know if I really like that, but it's like connected to everything. I get in, and it's just like the CarPlay picks up, and I got on the screen, I got the maps and the music, and I can just check my messages and everything right there, and everything's connected. through Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and satellite. And so everything's a smart device now. Everything's smart and everybody's on the internet, and all of this data is a big deal. And but try that experiment. Try that experiment when it comes to data from your private mental thoughts. Think about something very strange that wouldn't be a coincidence if it came up. They'd be like, oh yeah, that's definitely that weird thing that only I could think about just then. And if it comes up in your feeds as an advertisement, then you'll believe me for sure. So, but it's something that I noticed over time that's happening, and it's definitely something that you would see commonly as far as like things you search for or whatever, but it stretches beyond that into your private thought process. And so I wanted to talk about that for a minute. But anyway, hope y'all are having a good weekend. I'm about to get on this schoolwork, and that's about it. So thanks for watching, and you'll see me real soon.